Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 104. Thank you for joining us as always on this lusty Tuesday evening, Earth date February 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me as always is my co-host, Bran of the Raisin Clan. Say hello, Bran.
Hello, Remington. Are you calling it lusty because I'm shirtless?
I'm calling it lusty because it's Valentine's Day. I said it sexily because you're shirtless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that why you've got the heart tassels on?
Yes.
I like it. Festive.
Well, thanks. You know, I do my best to make sure to dress up for you and be presentable. So, you know.
And I appreciate that you French braided your back hair. You got like kind of a Katniss thing going on back there.
Katniss? Like?
Katniss Everdeen, yeah.
Okay.
She's known for her hair braids.
Okay, I guess. Is she?
Yes.
That sounds...
100% the actress is known for her hair braids for Katniss.
Okay, fair enough. I will take your word for it. I've never seen the movie.
I haven't either, but I'm aware of her braids. That's how prominent those braids are.
My God, that makes sense. So we have an interview today.
We do.
And it's going to be a long one.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know our process, a lot of the times we will go ahead and jump right into the interview. And we'll do that. And then we'll come back through and we'll record a little intro and outro.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing right now.
Yep. The interview went, like you said, pretty long. So we're going to just pretty much jump right into it.
Yep. So we will see you on the other side.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We love you.
Save us.
Save us. No, I'm just... No. Don't save us.
Yeah, don't save us. We're good.
We're fine. We're just fine.
Just fine.
So, Brandon, we have guests today.
We do.
We do indeed. With us today, we have Gentleman's Sword. And of Gentleman's Sword, we have Will, Zach, and Gerard. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Howdy.
Gentleman's Sword is a Dungeons & Dragons Twitch cast, right?
Yeah. Yep. Among other things, but mostly that.
So what are the other things, then?
Random every now and then games of different assortment.
Yeah. When we find the time, we try to branch out a little bit because we really we take this as much as you probably can't tell from watching them. We actually take the Dungeons and Dragons streams on a pretty serious level. Like we try to have a certain sense of like production there. So if we can't do a good night of D&D, we'll just play video games with each other and stuff like that.
So you have the whole set up to where you can just stream the video games if for some reason D&D doesn't work out?
Yeah, we use the Elgato for our camera that we use for D&D, so we can just unplug that and plug it into an Xbox or PC or something.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So what are your guys' specific roles on the channel?
Well, Zach does most of the tech stuff and editing when it happens.
When it happens. I need to get back on that. I'll probably do some tomorrow.
Well, because you guys do YouTube too, right?
Yeah, we post some of our we try to get them up on YouTube as the VODs on Twitch go away, but
right.
We have a really doozy of an episode to edit, so that's kind of put us on delay.
Procrastination is a curse.
So Zach does all that, he sets up the streams and stuff. I do a lot of the stuff on the actual channel, doing the panels and a lot of the social media stuff. Gerard is one of our DMs. Me and Gerard both DM. Then everyone else kind of just shows up.
Yeah.
That sounds like our friends.
Yeah.
You or I DM, and then everybody else just kind of shows up and dicks off.
Yeah, that's it to a T. That it was a very natural way that developed because our other two people we play with, Brian and Aaron, those two and Gerard were all working together at the time, and they'd be at work till right before we started streaming. So it'd just be me and Zach here, and we'd be like, oh, I guess we'll figure out how OBS works. Let me look up a YouTube tutorial or something because we have no idea what we're doing.
Right.
Very true.
So one of the things, whenever I found you guys, I was on Twitch late one night looking for D&D streams. And 99% of the D&D streams that I find are people using like Roll20, or there's no cameras and you're just staring at like a computer page with people moving around on panels and shit. And it's just not that exciting to watch. So one of the things that drew me to you guys is that you are actually live sitting around a table, physically there. And I liked it because it's like you're kind of sitting in on a game of D&D with friends sitting around a table. You get those looks when somebody does something stupid.
Yeah.
Which I see a lot from you guys giving one another too.
That is exactly what we went for too when we wanted to create our Twitch channel, is because we noticed the same thing. They died.
Apparently Zach is dying.
Zach's dying.
Talk amongst yourselves, I'm verklempt.
If you select Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch, it's just a bunch of like grids, and maybe they have like webcams surrounding their Roll20 battle grid, but there's not a lot of people who do stuff in person, and that was kind of like, hey, we can be that niche. And
I did spend like 5 minutes on there one time looking at the D&D streams to see what we could kind of like match, and there was one guy that did the same thing as us, but they were German. And I couldn't understand them, so it was very disappointing.
So yeah, and it just, that's again, like, you feel like you're there more than when you're watching a bunch of people on a computer screen. We purposely try to set it up to where it's like you're sitting at a table with people playing D&D.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to do it too, especially when, you know, D&D and these tabletop role-playing games have always been this gathering of people. And, you know, technology comes along, and it's really great that your friends who have moved away, you know, across the country or something, they can come in, they can sit in on a game, but there's still this certain disconnect that happens with that technology being brought into it. So being able to watch a bunch of friends and like you said, have the camera in a sense at the table right there with everybody, and really having that feeling of camaraderie and togetherness is almost inspiring. Yeah, I'll go.
Gentleman's Sword is inspiring. DU-OGRES. We're using that blurb.
You should definitely use that blurb. You have my
that
blessings.
On every piece of marketing we never do because we're too lazy.
Procrastination.
And I mean, whenever I talk about this, I'm gonna come off pretty ass kissy, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say that ahead of time to listeners and viewers of this also. But like, I really enjoy watching you guys, and I really enjoy what you guys do, and that's why I was so excited to get a hold of you and bring you on the podcast and talk about it and give you guys to a wider market also, because I think what you guys do is awesome. And like I said, it feels like you're really sitting there, and for somebody who doesn't get to play D&D regularly, it's kind of a neat substitute.
Yeah, and like, you were at our first ever stream we did. I think you were.
Yeah,
I think you were our second follower on Twitch. That wasn't like one of us, because our personal accounts followed it, and it was very much like from the beginning. We didn't know what we were doing when we started streaming. I bought a lot of the recording equipment we had like a year and a half ago, because I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to do like a D&D stream, but I just didn't like know when or how or who was a big part too, because even though these people are assholes and I hate them, they're at least like, there's a certain sense of dedication all of us like have brought to this that has made me have like it's great to have people to do it with, and we're just lucky enough to like have that group of people all in the same town, which a lot of people aren't.
Right. So what prompted you guys to take it to this next level and bring it to Twitch or bring it to YouTube?
I think it was with our just games before we started with your Warren campaign.
Yeah, I actually met Aaron and Brian very recently before we started doing this.
Yeah, we had
Like
played,
3 weeks.
We had played some like odd assortment of D&D beforehand, like a couple of games with each other. One with Zach DMing, one with
I
you
DM'd a few sessions. And I've known Zach and Gerard for a long time, and I knew they're good D&D players, except for Gerard. But I had the equipment already because I wanted to kind of do like a podcast thing way before this. And Brian had done some stuff on Twitch before. All of us had done like a couple of little streams by ourselves and just had a lot of fun doing that. So I was like, hey, I have the equipment. Let's record our next session. And then the first session, we just had so much fun doing it. We really started like nose to the grindstone to make it happen twice a week.
Well, and from the first session that I was in versus the second time you guys streamed, there was a huge difference in your layout. The first time it was just kind of the camera streaming from what I remember. And then the second time you guys had the layout with your names and everything.
Yeah, it took us a bit. It wasn't the second stream. I think it was
like at stream 4, I think, of your, like, yeah, because stream a week 4 of yours, I was like, okay, so we need something that looks a lot better than a freaking camera. So I went to like Best Buy, I got the credit card, I charged for a freaking webcam, and I spent time to figure out how to get that stupid camera to work.
5 hours.
5 freaking hours.
5 hours. Me and Zach sat here trying to set this stupid thing up, and it was so much worth it because, yeah, our first setup was us around this like small round glass table with the TV up against the wall and a webcam mounted on top of the TV with the stream on the TV pointing at us.
Right.
Using a laptop.
using a laptop. And while I think our video is at a place we want to, audio on Twitch is just such a hassle.
Yeah.
So we're still working on improving it while we can, but once like people started to kind of gravitate towards it, we were like, well, if we're gonna do it, let's do it well.
Yeah. And here's some things that will hopefully help you alleviate a little bit. If you're doing straight audio, if your content is good, people will sacrifice some subpar audio. If your content is okay, then you probably want to bring up the quality of your audio a little because at least they'll be able to more easily listen. Now, when you're in video, if the video is good, you can kind of sacrifice on audio. So
yeah, our recording PC made this annoying buzzing sound. I'm sure.
Shaving dwarf?
Yeah, it sounded like a razor.
Every stream for like 5 streams in a row, we got asked, why someone shaving? So we came up with this vibrator once. We got shaving once. There was one other thing we got that I can't particularly remember, but every time they said something different, it's like, hey, at least it wasn't shaving. But we came up with this magical dwarf that sat under our table shaving. But we finally got a piece. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone now. There is no more buzzing. We miss him, but
no. I've dealt with that dwarf for way too long.
Yeah, that dwarf was kind of a dick. So.
We did a live recording when we first started doing a live recording at a local comic book shop, and we had a blue snowball. If you've researched that mic at all, it's a USB mic, blue snowball, and then it has an omnidirectional function on it, which works okay if you are in a semi-sound treated room and you have people within relatively close proximity. So honestly, for a D&D setting, it's not a terrible thing. We used to record our D&D sessions over that. The problem is that when you get people doing side conversations, that picks up just as well as the DM talking and everybody else. So
Yeah, I have this glare I give as the DM.
I've seen it. It's really nice.
Yeah,
it's very
it's just
reminiscent
like,
of what I
You guys
do.
want to shut the fuck up now?
Yeah. But so when we recorded this, I recorded on a netbook, and the netbook itself on the motherboard had a tiny little beep that would pick up right beside of the USB.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the worst.
God,
and
that
there
recording was shit.
There was no way to get out of it. I tried, I mean, this is where I learned a lot about cleaning up audio is this fucking beep. Like taking it into Adobe Audition and signaling out or fine-tuning the signal and just trying to cut it out as much as humanly possible.
Do you guys have any background in editing or any of this stuff, or are you just 100% learning as you go?
Learning as we go.
My man.
110%.
All of us had interest in it before this because we all watch a lot of YouTube. We're all like in Twitch. Like we're all interested in that community. And in particular, I was interested in D&D because Twitch has such like an awesome tabletop community.
Yeah, it does.
And so we were interested, and it's all something we kind of wanted to learn. And like the first night, we're like, we're gonna do this. We're like, oh well, we could do this. And then like by a month in, we're like, oh my god. Zach's sitting here like, why did I volunteer to do 5 jobs? And we're all like, you already volunteered. You can't not
Too bad,
do
sucker.
it.
Well, I mean, you guys have a pretty consistent schedule. What's your times now? It's Fridays and Saturdays at 1 a.m.?
Yeah, Fridays and Saturdays at I shouldn't be clicking a pen. What the hell is wrong with me? Yeah, Fridays and Saturdays between 1 and 1:30. Normally we get it by 1, but it depends because they close at Arby's because that's where Aaron and Gerard work, and then they come and stream. So it's about 1 on Fridays and Saturdays.
Gotcha.
We actually missed our first ever scheduled stream time this
Billy
week.
was sick.
Yeah, you guys were streaming Resident Evil, right?
I was pooping myself. I was pooping bad. So fun times though. Fun times.
Well, like me and Aaron streamed for Honor.
Have you guys played For Honor?
I had the beta downloaded, but I worked all weekend. I didn't have a chance to try it.
I'm sorry. It looks so good to play.
It's so much fun. It just came out today.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to download it later.
Sponsored by For Honor.
Are we?
Sponsored by anybody.
I can't say specifically, but I work at a very prominent. And yet, For Honor was fucking everywhere. I had to set up last night for the release today. And I mean, without playing it, I feel like For Honor is going to be one of those games that is really going to take hold.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot different than a lot of the games you're getting out right now. It doesn't feel like there's definitely mixtures of stuff I've played before. Like it kind of has a combat system pulled from stuff like Mountain Blade and War of the Roses, but it's so much like prettier and more fluid than those. And to be like a knight and beat up samurai.
I always wanted to play as a vanilla knight. It's like it's best. I love it.
And like their armor and stuff is realistic, and I kind of have a boner for that kind of stuff where like a video game will have just awfully impractical armor and it just irks me. So it's nice, like a game that kind of cares about.
So what you're saying is that even the female armor structure for the game is
the females are wearing armor. They don't have boob plate. It's like actual armor. I'm like, nice. Nice. Just kidding. Give me more chainmail bikinis. Woo!
So what's your guys' experience with playing D&D? What's your history with that?
All right. Do you want to go first, Zach?
I mean, yeah, I can. It all started when I was in middle school, 7th grade. My friend Alex was just like, I just got my advanced D&D Dungeons Master Player's Handbook and Monster Manual. You want to play? And sure. So it's just me, him, and his brother just sitting around a table. I played a cleric and his brother played a ranger. Worst 2-player comp ever. And my friend Alex gave us a beholder, level 1.
Oh my god.
To fight
Just
or
like,
as a pet?
Alex, what are you doing? That was my first ever session. And then after that, we played off and on, me, him, and his brother, for a few years. And then eventually I met this douchebag.
Well, Alex also introduced me, the same Alex. He's been on Gentleman's Sword before. I streamed Resident Evil with him the other night. But he introduced me to D&D as well. It was years after him. I went to high school with Alex. He was, I think, 3 grades ahead of me. And we met him through Magic the Gathering.
Right.
Great game.
A friend of ours, a different friend of ours, which is really weird because he moved to our school, lived there for 2 months, got us into Magic the Gathering, and moved away. But my life is completely different because of it, because I met Alex because of Magic the Gathering. And I knew what Dungeons & Dragons was, and it was always something I wanted to try just from knowing what it was.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, do you want to play D&D? And I'm like, I want nothing more in my life than play D&D. You have answered my prayers. So we played first edition AD&D. Actually, the first session we played was original Dungeons & Dragons, OD&D, which was just funky. Like, races or classes and stuff like that. Like, it's a weird system. But then he got the AD&D books, and just a bunch of us, and while I was like a junior in high school, we just played Dungeons & Dragons every weekend. It was me, Zach here, Alex, and a couple other of our close friends. Then eventually Zach brought Gerard along, and we played first edition for a very long time. Like, that's where both of us got our base on D&D. And then Zach DM'd a 3.5 campaign.
Yeah, he did.
Which I have a pretty unpopular opinion, because I think 3.5 is the second worst edition of Dungeons & Dragons ever. I can't stand it.
We know.
You have a wrong opinion.
Yeah. So you're
sorry.
100% wrong then.
No, 3.5 is so convoluted, and I'm not here to rant about 3.5.
Yeah.
We could do it for hours.
Yeah, and just like D&D became one of the biggest parts of my life, and I just get this. It's crazy because I'll let Gerard explain his intro to D&D before I get.
All right, my intro to D&D. I didn't exactly start off on a specific generation of D&D. It was kind of like a throw together of 3.5 and like a D&D.
Right.
Like, I was just sitting at a table with my older brother and my other older brother and a couple of his best friends. And I've always been into the role-playing like games. Like, always had a boner for those. They're great. Always the best. And I started off on a sorcerer. That was my first class, and it was great. I've played D&D for approximately 9, 10-ish years. No, over that, but I love the game. Billy here definitely has more experience in, like, he's played AD&D, he's played...
I've played every edition of Dungeons & Dragons because I really I found I've played with probably more groups than either of them because I really love, I've introduced a lot of people to D&D since I started playing it. I love doing that because I really think it's this experience you can't get other places.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's a completely separate experience to like a video game or a movie. It's just this weird storytelling aspect where there's 3 people there's 3 things that tell the story in a D&D game: the players, the dungeon master, and the dice. And I think it's in that order, and I love that. So I set out to find a lot of people, and I remember playing 2nd edition AD&D, which is the worst. Fuck that go. That was trash. And then I played a Roll20 game of 4th edition. And then everything else I've played with my main groups. And I wanted to experience it. I wanted to learn. I became kind of obsessed with Dungeons & Dragons. So I'm I want to try out everything.
Yeah.
We actually, the first campaign I ever DM'd was the playtest for 5th edition.
Yeah.
Fourth.
No, the playtest.
Playtest for 4th too, though.
No, I didn't do a playtest. I played 4th, but we first started playing a couple months before they announced 5th edition.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did a public playtest where they uploaded all the like basic rules they had. And
yeah, I remember that.
They were still calling it D&D Next at that point, right?
Yeah, still calling it D&D Next. Which was weird. That kind of. I'm glad they didn't go with D&D.
It was a marketing ploy, man.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Yeah. You can't make D&D sound cool. I don't care who you are.
You could call it D&D in though, if it was D&D Next.
Well, the ironic part is like D&D did kind of become cool over the last like very recently, over the past like 3 or 4 years. Shows like Crit Roll, for example, have just like made this game so accessible, and it's
honestly all my knowledge of 5th came from that alone.
My first ever time DMing it went awful. It was bad. It was bad.
Okay, yeah, that's something I actually wanted to get into and ask you guys about then, is if you had, because I feel like every D&D player has a story of either a bad DM moment or a bad moment when they were playing, or a bad DM, like any sort of stories like that.
We have a lot of stories of conflict.
The one that sticks out the most is with the orc and his wife bringing back the spirit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't?
Oh, let's not talk about that. That was weird.
That was very weird.
All right. We're not talking about
See,
that.
now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that sounds like it's got a story to it.
Yeah. That's got some dirt to it.
Let's just say we were a bunch of teenage boys who didn't like talk to women or know how to talk to women. And there was a couple of times where a girl would come to play with us, and
that's not what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. It was still weird. Okay, what are you talking
about? With the Ring of 3 Wishes.
Oh, we got like AD&D. Have you guys played AD&D?
Yeah.
So the like treasure charts on the back of the monster manual.
The monster manual.
The back of the monster manual. There's like all these randomly roll for treasure tables, and just through pure chance, we rolled like 4 Rings of 3 Wishes in one campaign. It was ridiculous. But I think D&D gets very passionate and emotional a lot of the times, and that's why we've dealt with player conflicts. I hated Gerard.
Yeah, I hated Billy.
He was such a douchebag.
He was so arrogant.
He's not wrong. He was such a douchebag. He kept trying to bang the girl I liked.
In the game or real life?
I kept thinking he was trying to bang the girl I liked. But I don't know. It's conflict while playing a game like Dungeons & Dragons really sucks. But I think a good thing of advice is, even if you have a bad DM or like a troubled player, no D&D is better than bad D&D, because you might like think it is, because you might have like 20 minutes of glorious role play that you'll always like cherish, but if everyone at the table is like hating each other because of stuff, like maybe just like chill, communicate your problems. If your DM is doing stuff you don't like, talk to them about the fact that they're doing stuff you don't like. That's the type of people who tend to gravitate towards D&D tend to also not be good at communicating or talking to people. Yeah. So it's a bad mixture sometimes.
It's definitely one of those things that it fosters an environment, especially if you're playing at a table with people. Like doing it across the country or online, you know, you miss those social cues, you miss those non-verbal prompts, you know, body language, stuff like that. And especially for people who struggle with those kinds of social interactions anyway, which many nerds tend to do, you much more quickly learn to adapt to those situations because your friends are much more apt to call you out on your bullshit as well. So that's one of the things that I've always loved about D&D is you really see this social structure and people flourishing in an environment that they're very comfortable in.
It's a great outlet for sure, because I think almost everybody's first character, like they put part of themselves in it. Like,
oh, sure. I was a dwarven fighter.
You were always a dwarven fighter, though.
Almost always a dwarven fighter. if I can be.
I was a human ranger, and I'm like, this is me. I'm like the good person, and it was so much like he was the like nice cleric who would help people.
And
he was the
sorcerer.
He was the edgelord no one liked. And when you're in the game, it's just so awesome when things are going well, but you got to be able to detach yourself from your character.
Sure.
And that's something that happens that like goes on with experience, because I think player conflict in D&D, especially as a DM, is awesome. My favorite thing I've done as a DM was we did this on stream. I slowly turned Aaron's character into a terrorist.
Yeah.
And while he was like working on bombing the embassy of a bunch of people who have subjugated his race because he was a tiefling, the other players were uncovering the terrorist plot, and they stopped him, and it ended with Gerard paralyzing Aaron's character. And it was just like, I was just sitting there grinning so hard the whole time. And it's like nice playing with people who are mature enough to where like Aaron was having the time of his life. He thought it was the best thing in the world. Gerard was actually like emotionally distraught at the end of the stream. But as long as you can like leave stuff at the, because there's like general rules like don't play an evil character, or like make sure all your characters will work together well. Sometimes the game's funner when they don't.
Oh yeah, sure.
We've played with people definitely who don't separate themselves and take their characters so seriously, like not in a role-playing aspect, because I love the more somebody role plays their character, the more I'm going to give them as a DM, because if you're giving me a character story to work with, I can make the story as much about you as you want it to be. But when somebody gets hurt or, you know, falls below zero and suddenly the person in real life wants to flip a table and is like, fuck this game, I hate this. We've played with people like that before, and it just grinds the game to a halt.
Yeah.
Everybody has. I think like if you've I think if you've played D&D, and I think we're lucky that there's a lot more resources to find groups, because like I don't know, I would never play D&D like I'm so expressive during it. I could never do it in an environment I'm not comfortable with. Like I could never go down to the local game store and find a D&D group. And I think the people who tend to like play at local game stores kind of tend to be those type of people who are overreaching and like try hardy about their character. Like characters are better when they're not perfect.
Yeah.
So if your character like sucks at something, that's awesome. Like have flaws. That makes you a person, not a...
I have two really good ones. Just player conflict. Number one was when I killed Trey's character.
Yeah.
I don't even remember
It wasn't Trey, it was Dan.
Oh, what? No?
When you choked him unconscious and killed him?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah, it was.
No, then there's two. Because there was Dan, who got so pissed off that after I killed his character that he left.
He was a guy I knew from, I was working at Outback Steakhouse at the time, and he was another server there. And he liked D&D, so I invited him over to play in our game. And it was one session, and we were playing like a marathon session. It was like 8 hours or something. And his whole thing is he wanted to become a lich.
Yep.
So he was going around, and he was like pulling me in the other room and passing me secret notes, like, now I'm going to go try to steal this. Remington was playing a prestige class from 3.5 called a Reaping Mauler that was all hand-to-hand, didn't use a weapon. And as they level up, they get like different wrestling moves. They're basically a professional wrestler.
Yep.
So he knew that Dan's character, He didn't know he was becoming a lich, but he was acting shady. In game, he was shady as fuck.
Yeah.
So Remington ended up sneaking behind him, getting him in some headlock that if they fail like 3 saving throws, they die, and killed him like right as he was going to go to finish the ritual to become a lich.
Yeah.
So he fails his 3rd saving throw, and I'm like, you're dead, man. Sorry. He got like grabbed his stuff, stormed out, fuck you guys, and left. And it was just, and that spoke not only to how he acted, because I'd probably be a little pissed realistically if my character was killed like that.
Sure.
He was just being so shady about the whole thing that it really just kind of killed the group, and I regretted having him over for that reason.
But at the same time, that story, though, is so good, because it's a sad thing that, he wasn't able to separate from that. But at the same time, the initial reaction was great. It's the same concept as you guys throwing dice at me and recording it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me getting mad about that. But
that's pretty similar to like what my first experience with Gerard was like, to be honest. It was very much, he came over, and Gerard is way better at playing D&D now than he was then. And D&D, like anything you do a lot, practice makes perfect. Like, you get better at it as you play it. But he was just this stupid, shady motherfucker who was going around. Well, if you think
about it, sometimes your character, if you role play your character, just the character's shady.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I didn't want to hit you in the face.
Well, that's fair. I wanted to hit you too.
But, and before, we had played like very generic fantasy, where it was like, we're all good guys working together to do stuff. And then all of a sudden there was this weird, shady dude. It's like, get out of here. What are you doing?
Having fun.
But, and some people got mad and quit, and there was talks of like kicking people out of the group, and there was like a lot of this like personal drama in the friends group, and it was just like, I'm glad we're over that as people now, because that kind of stuff sucks.
Yeah.
But
that's ultimately what made that group fail too, and we quit playing.
Yeah. And just people taking the game too seriously. And I'm not placing blame on other people. I took the game way too seriously.
Same.
I was 16 and it was all I did. I had nothing else to take seriously.
But going to troubled players, because I want to wrap up on that with one thing. The thing that bugs me the most, and I've dealt with a lot of problem players in the years that I've been DMing, but the one that bugs me the most is this motherfucker sitting right here, because he is the biggest rules lawyer I've ever played with. And he's the only character who wants to grapple. And Will, I know you said you know enough about 3.5 to maybe know the grapple rules. But
no, I know.
It is so convoluted. And every time he wants to grapple, and I'm like, just fucking don't grapple him, or just roll a strength or something. He's like, well, no, I roll a grapple, and he rolls an opposed grapple, and then we do opposed strengths. And it's just the most aggravating thing in the entire world.
Oh, let's also talk about sneak attacks at 3.5, because those are also awesome.
and the reason that we rally...
Dragons are undead.
I think so. The reason that he and I rally so much around 3.5 is we played first edition, we played second edition some, but 3.5 is really where we cut our teeth. And more than anything else, into high school and then outside of high school when we had disposable incomes, we just bought 3.5 books like crazy. We've got a bookshelf with probably 30 books. So at this point, we're kind of entrenched in 3.5.
Right.
I gotta say, that's probably my biggest issue with 5th edition is I don't like how their post main release has been. It actually is really irritating to me because they released the 3 Dungeon Master Player's Handbook Monster Manuals, and then almost every book they've released since then. And 5th edition's been out several years now. It's been a while.
Has it?
I think it was 2013 or 2014. It was somewhere around there. So it's been a bit, at least 2 years for sure.
At least.
And they've just been releasing more and more pre-made adventures. And we don't use pre-mades.
Right.
We DM, we like making worlds. Those of us that DM, that's our favorite part of it. We just don't.
Great.
Yeah, we just don't have a lot of interest in pre-mades. And so there isn't a lot of supplemental content. While 3.5, there's
5 million.
Yeah,
books.
but that's also a problem with 3.5 because half those books are broken.
Right. That's really where Pathfinder comes into play. Is, you know, a lot of people play Pathfinder because it's this nice mix between the good things about 3.5 and the good things about 4.0, from what I understand it. I haven't played it myself, but we had been talking a couple weeks ago. There was a Humble Bundle, which, do you guys know what Humble Bundle is?
Yeah.
Okay. So they had released a set that you could buy just a ton of the Pathfinder PDFs. And I really wanted to get it because I don't read a whole lot of novels anymore. What I enjoy reading nowadays is D&D books. Because
Like rule books?
Yeah, I love rule books.
You're a fucking nerd.
I will say I haven't liked how they've been releasing books up until their most recent release, Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Great book. Love it.
It's like we're just going to do a second monster manual, but they're like, let's give some flavor for it. Right. So the whole book is written from the perspective of Volo, a person who tracks down and researches monsters. And the book is in like 3 steps. The first page is all lore. It's just straight up lore on a bunch of different types of creatures. There's a bunch of Mind Flayer lore, a bunch of Beholder lore.
There's a whole section for beholders to just roll every single trait about a beholder.
Yeah, there's like 6 charts in a row, like eye stalk texture and like iris shape and stuff like that, where you can roll your own beholder. The second part is a bunch of player races. They added like 5 regular player races, I think, and like 6 monster races for like monster campaigns. And then the third part is like a monster manual, which I don't know. It's like, it's a book where you can actually read the first part of it as a book and actually has some good like supplemental content. I'm like, fucking finally, Wizards. Great.
So what kind of a homebrew rules do you guys? Do you have any specific homebrew rules that you...
Nat 20s, Nat 1s.
I'm going to explain more because what you said was fucking stupid, Gerard. For saving throws, we have, because general saving throw rules for 5e is it's just on a failed save, you take full damage. On a successful save, we take half. We do nat 1s, you take double damage, and nat 20s, you take none. Okay. We really polarize our nat 1s and nat 20s. Like, they've kind of toned back on how like significant they are. Like, technically you can't crit fail on an ability check in 5th edition. Right. There's no way I'm letting a player succeed on a nat 1. You're falling on your face. You're looking stupid.
Sure.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, that's what creates some of the best character DM interactions, is when you get a -1 and you completely fail something so simplistic.
Like one time in my campaign, the very first roll of the game, well, second, because Alex checked on. Anyway,
it was first combat.
First combat. Billy's character runs down a hill at a bunch of bandits, and he yells for the north.
I was the Viking.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm gonna be a douchebag. Roll to see how intimidating you are. He rolls a nat 1. He falls straight on his face.
And you know what we started doing because of that is we don't do it anymore because we collectively realize it's ridiculous. On a nat 1, you were rolling a d4 damage.
Yeah. So for whatever reason,
no matter what,
make up one.
It's like you could roll a nat 1 on your perception check, and it's like you strained your eyes too hard. Rolling a d4.
That's funny.
It's like I've been stabbed for less damage.
We have one that we like to call a Hall Balls check. And a Hall Balls check is you roll a 20 and you add your strength, dex, and con to it. So if shit's really hitting the fan, then you add all 3 of those. It's usually a pretty high DC anyway, to get away from, the explosion that's going to kill the entire party and half the fucking town with it.
We have rolls for boner. At any time, the DM can call roll for boner, and you roll a d6, and on a 1, you have a boner. And it's like, it doesn't matter at all, but it's like,
fun.
you know your character is erect right now.
Makes situations more awkward, and then when you have to role play it, it just makes it more awkward.
We during character creation, especially if a girl is playing, we like to roll for boob size.
We roll for dick size a lot.
I feel
Yeah,
like we went away from rolling for boobs. I mean, first off, we haven't had girls play with us that often.
Yeah.
But whenever we do, I go away from that because at this point, I feel like that plays into the nerd D&D stereotype a little too much to have a girl.
Of being overly sexist.
Like in our current campaign, or the one we were playing, we had one guy who decided to play a female character. And I was the one DMing. And I let the players know ahead of time, like, he's playing a female character. Don't do what we always fucking do, where everybody tries to have sex with the female character that the guy's playing because it's hilarious. So I ended up having to take one of our players aside and talk to him because he was trying to seduce the girl character. And he was doing it so often that the guy playing the girl character genuinely felt uncomfortable. And I could tell he didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, how I do is I don't let people cross gender play, and it's from experiences like that to where unless like I know you very well, I'm just not going to be okay with, just because people are dicks and like, oh, being a girl means I can just like try to sleep my way to all my goals and stuff like that. And it's like, it'd be one thing if you were trying to play like a genuine like Black Widow-esque assassin, but you're not. You're a fucking douchebag. So,
and the guy, to his credit, playing the female character did great. He was just a character who was a female, and that had nothing to do with how he played her outside of her backstory and stuff.
Exactly. And I besides Gentleman's Sword, I'm in a group I play with some students I met in college who were all pretty unfamiliar with D&D, and I got them playing, and I got one of them into DMing. And it just so happened that I was the only male character in the party because we were playing with a girl and a guy playing a female character. And all the NPCs were females because all the dudes just died by chance. And it ended up being almost exactly like your stereotypical harem anime, because my character was like raised in the priesthood. He was a cleric. He super religious, like to the point to where like everybody I'd meet, I'd try to convert to my religion, and if they didn't like do it, I'd just write them off as human beings. Like I look at them as less than people. Your typical religious zealot. And all these female characters who liked me because I was such a nice person to them because they all believed in my God. So it's this like really funny kind of a clueless dude. And even my sword is a sentient female. Which is, we're playing Out of the Abyss, and it's written into the game where there's this Sunblade that's a sentient female. So stuff like that. It's fun until somebody takes it too far. Like, no one in that situation is uncomfortable because it's all very much like a joke. But I think I empathize a lot with women who are into D&D because it is hard to find a good group.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which is another reason I'm really glad there's a lot of great resources out there to find groups. And, like, you don't have to go to some weird dude's house to try D&D. You can play it on Roll20, and a lot of these websites are very good about harassment and stuff like that. So it's probably one of the best times ever to be a D&D player right now.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I have lightning round question for each of you guys. Favorite type of character to play and least favorite type of character to play for each of you.
Gerard, you're up first.
Race, half-elf, class, probably 5th edition fighter, 3.5. I'd probably go with sorcerer. Least favorite, I'd probably say, I'm sorry, but dwarf is my least favorite race.
You dirty bastard!
And my least favorite class to play would probably be shit. Barbarian? Maybe?
Fair.
Barbarian.
I love barbarians.
Fair.
I don't like barbarians.
All right. I like playing very regular people. That's my favorite thing to play. I like playing just your average Joe who's that's why I love first edition, because you're not some super powerful being. You're just some schmuck who's probably gonna die. And so I play a lot of humans, and then I like rangers a lot. Least favorite, I don't like magic users a ton because they're complicated and it's just a lot of work. But I've had so much fun playing magic users. I think the only class I haven't played is a bard, so maybe bard I'd go with. Bard. Yeah, I've played a barbarian before.
Yeah.
And my least favorite race, probably gnome.
Oh,
You son of a bitch.
All right, Zach.
Zach.
Okay, so my favorite.
Zach hates paladins.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, my least favorite, paladin. Paladin, straight up. I don't care what race you are. My favorite is I really like playing just like humans or elves. I'm just stereotypical fantasy. I love it. And my favorite class is probably fighter and wizard for fifth. Honestly, even though they kind of dulled wizard out a little bit, it still kind of gives it something, and it's kind of fun. It's just I can do stuff.
Dude, I love playing that divination wizard.
I
3
play.
point in 5th edition. I'd have to say my least favorite's Warlock.
Oh, yeah. Warlock seems to be kind of a niche thing. Like, you either love it or hate it in any of them.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't like how the spell slots work.
They're so stupid.
Wizards came out with a Unearthed Arcana for a Warlock. Do you
Thank
have more?
God, I'm gonna read that.
All right.
Please let it be better.
Okay, lightning round though. Was that any other lightning round questions, Brandon, or was that?
It was just the one. Just the one lightning round.
My favorite, Dwarven Fighter, even into Reaping Maul. I love playing that. Least favorite, I don't think I actually have something that I least favorite.
You played that bard that was fucking useless.
Well, just because he was useless didn't mean I didn't enjoy playing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't
that's what
mind.
makes it hard about that question.
I don't mind if my character is not viable. I tend to play character. I just love doing it. I just love playing characters.
One of the things that I've had to do over the years of playing, especially if I'm not the one who's DMing, is filling a party role. Because I'm the experienced one, you know, we've got newer players who aren't as experienced, and they want to play the fighter. Or like my girlfriend, she always wants to be a caster of some sort. She's a sorcerer or a wizard, one over the other. And so I find myself filling whatever support class that we need to.
That's one thing I don't exactly like about like the stereotypical D&D is there being a role that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
Like if you have a specific okay, you want to play a certain class in a certain race, your DM should be able to work around that and still make it enjoyable. So it's not a need for like every role being taken.
Sure.
But because you're like, sure, there's some like instances where you're going to go in and you know you're going to need this thing for it, but
that's what hirelings are for, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree with Gerard on that one. It does, because I don't think anyone really enjoys having to fill that role. Like maybe you sometimes you just have to like.
Well, it comes for me. It comes from being empathic to the DM. You know, I'm filling a player role, and I know that, you know, in this quest it would behoove the group to have a cleric. You know, it's going to be a fight heavy group. They're going to be taking a lot of damage. They'd be spending a ton of gold on healing potions and stuff. So let me fill this role where I can use magic instead of everybody having to spend all of their earnings. You know, which is definitely part of the draw of D&D, is finding that dragon horde.
Well, and one of my favorite characters that I've played in recent memory within the past few years is I came into a group that was already playing, and I asked them, what do you guys not have? And they didn't have a rogue, and they didn't have a healer. So I was waffling between the two, and I ended up being a cleric to Oladamara, the god of rogues. So I got pick lock and pickpocket and sense trap and all that shit as a racial skill. So I was both the rogue and the cleric. I was a half orc that just barely understood religion. And he had a monocle because monocles are hilarious. But yeah, and I love it. Like, having those roles you have to fill out does suck, and I think that the way they do the monster manual and the challenge ratings, you know, like this monster has a CR4, assuming that a party of 4 4th-level adventurers who can cover all the roles can take it down. But I would have never played that mix of cleric and rogue together had I not kind of needed to fit into that hole.
I think, yeah, sometimes limitations are the best thing for storytelling. Like, the creator of Red versus Blue, Bernie Burns, who is like the person who got me into wanting to make stuff. Like when they made that, all they had was like Halo and an Xbox. And it's like, how do we make these small things funny? Like, we only have a limited amount of tools. We can't do anything. So I think that's what's great about D&D is, yes, stuff like that. Like, whoever thinks up a half-orc rogue cleric. That's just something that it happens naturally, and that's the best part about D&D. Brandon, when stuff happens naturally.
Brandon is definitely the epitome of coming up with off the wall combo ideas.
The most boring thing to me to play, I think I'm kind of the opposite of you, Will, is just the everyman.
Yeah.
And they have a place in the story, and I love having somebody like that to work off of. But I mean, if I can go monster race, another one of my favorites was a Knoll Paladin to Paylor, I think.
Yeah. Knoll Paladin to Paylor. There was a lot of really dick jokes in that one, too.
Awesamir in 5th edition.
Oh,
I
so
really
great.
liked, which is like half angel. Because to me, that's a good balance of not being like overly weird, but still kind of special. But that's always been me, even in like video games, because I like kind of starting as nothing and becoming great.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of put myself into that more.
Yeah.
One of the things I try to live by whenever I'm DMing, and I don't remember where I read it. It was an author who said it, and they were referring to just stories in general and saying that, like, a story where everybody's badass and have something that they need to fight against and win is not that interesting of a story, because they're all badasses. Of course, they're going to win. But when you have a group of people who shouldn't win against something, a group of average people who are forced into these roles and then can defeat something, makes for an exciting story. And that's why I love more when the players have backstories of, like, I used to be a farmer, or I was studying at the magic school, and they're all kind of thrown in to defeat this big evil. That makes for a way more interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable times was Brandon DMing something, and I had played a farmer character who got forced into a fighter role.
This
was
was early on in my DMing history.
Yeah,
I would not have done this today.
Yeah, it's a very dark time.
Yeah, that was before the medication I'm on.
But so we came across a deck of many things, right?
Oh my
Probably.
gosh.
We come across those quite a bit.
And we got I got conned into drawing a card. Now, I was a farmer. I was forced into having my, the land was under a blight or something, and I had to go make money elsewhere. So they talked me into drawing out of this deck of many things, this dumb farmer, and I get the void.
Oh.
And so I'm transported to this void, which ends up being this very large room with this huge statue in the background of it. I mean, we're talking a football field in length and just almost pitch black. Light coming from nowhere, but very, very dim. And this huge statue the arms stretch across the ceiling, and then the fingers are very slowly moving, just, grinding stone as the fingers move. And, and from the fingers hang ropes, and down at the bottom of these ropes are my dead children.
Oh.
So somehow, I mean, I put a lot into the background of this character, so I was very, very connected to it. And somehow they got me out of the void, and I remember just sitting by the fire, completely sullen, completely defeated, and it was the most emotional I've ever been as a character because of how much I had invested versus how much. And my children were even still alive, but the imagery itself was enough to affect not my character, but me through my character.
I feel like something's about like that is about to happen to my character in Gerard's campaign.
Yeah.
He's been hinting at some.
I'm so excited.
We're right before the final boss fight, right? Like we are next session we fight the final boss in the conclusion to like
the epilogue,
the campaign, and I just got my sword arm chopped off in like the pre-boss fight. And he's like, and casually in conversation, we're like hanging out after stream. He's like, hey, so just out of curiosity, how would your character feel if everybody he cared about died? Just like hypothetical reasons.
No foreshadowing there at all.
The campaign is very intertwined with my family. Most NPCs in the game are part of my family. And I'm like, I don't know, Gerard, how would you feel if all your family died? Probably not great, dude. He's not going to be like, yeah, I don't have those kids anymore. It's not like I got to watch them grow up anyways.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up all the questions that we have for you guys. So if anybody wants to go out and find you, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/GentlemanSword, Facebook.com/GentlemanSword, our Twitter's GentlemanSword, our YouTube's GentlemanSword.
Well, the link's not.
Oh, our YouTube isn't. If you want to go to our YouTube, go to our Twitch and click on the link to our YouTube. Because it's you have to have a certain amount of subscribers before they let you change their thing now.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, we stream Saturdays and Friday and Saturday nights at like 1 a.m. We're the third shift D&D stream.
Now, do you log your recordings in the Twitch for people to come back and watch afterward?
We're not partnered, so they go away after a certain amount of time.
Right, yeah.
But we do have the streams logged on YouTube. We have like 5 episodes up on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
With more on the way. So you can catch up on my campaign, which is also we're probably coming to the conclusion of both of these campaigns before this podcast comes out, I imagine. So you can start fresh with our new campaigns if you're listening to this and want to check it out.
Are you guys keeping the same DMs? Are you rotating any out?
We might be adding a few in.
Yeah, we want to do have you guys heard of Stars Without Numbers? It's a sci-fi role-playing. It's like an indie sci-fi role-playing game that kind of like caught on. And we want to do a campaign in that Zach will be DMing. But yeah, I think both Elgast and Crucible of Demons are going to continue with the same set of characters that live. We're just kind of we're at the point where we can do a quality step up, so we kind of want to do a soft reset on everything.
Yeah,
in preparation.
That's the main reason why I made the end of the chapter 1 epilogue come to an end.
Okay,
gotcha. So not only can we expect more from you, but we can also expect a better production value.
Definitely hoping.
Fingers crossed, right?
See.
Are we talking like costumes and pyrotechnics?
Yes, we're gonna we record in their apartment's living room, and it looks like a studio that needs clean.
Yeah.
Gentleman Sword has completely hijacked the living room. It's kind of beautiful in its own right.
Right.
But thanks so much for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for coming on, guys. Gerard, Will, Zach, thanks for taking the time.
Yep,
yeah,
we appreciate
anytime.
it very much.
It was
All right,
fun.
and we'll let you know once this ends up going up. We'll put this interview, the video portion, on YouTube at some point.
No,
right?
No, I'm not recording video.
Oh, This is just audio?
Yeah, this is just audio.
Okay, scratch that. Ignore what I just said. So we'll just let you know when the
Ignore.
episode comes out then.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a ton, guys.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks,
guys.
guys. Have a good night. Happy
You
Valentine's
too.
Day.
Yeah.
That's not awkward or anything.
All right. Yeah. See you
And
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
scene.
Why did nobody save us?
No, the interview was really good. And thank you guys at Gentleman's Sword so much for coming by. Will, Zach, and Gerard.
Yeah.
Again, we appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. We could literally talk about D&D all freaking day.
Yeah, I think we kept them longer than we even intended to by talking about D&D at them.
Yes. So
With them and then at them.
with them and then yes. We want to tell our stories. Let us tell our stories too. You guys have good stories, but we have stories.
Interview us back now.
Yay! So if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself on air, you can call us at 978 DU-OGRES. That's 978-386-4737. We actually had a call.
Really?
Yes, we did. From the illustrious Diamond Man,
Oh, snap.
Stephen Hines. And as soon as I pull it up, I'll let you guys listen to it.
Excuse him while he whips this out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Hey, you guys, this is author Stephen Hines, and I forgot to mention on Facebook that story with the guy doing blood transfusions from younger people into older people and making them feel better and look younger. This is a bunch of balderdash. What you need to do is what Viscount Terry and I did. We became high school teachers. What we do is we harvest the tears of whiny, entitled teenagers, and we drink those every night while cackling maniacally. And that's how we stay feeling well, and we never look our age. Later, dudes. Bye.
So, in order to stay young, all of you old people out there, become a teacher and drink the tears of the children.
The whiny entitled children.
The whiny, entitled teenagers.
Here's my question to Steven, though. Is the cackling maniacally while you do it required?
Yeah.
Like, I guess that would be part of the components.
I mean,
Or would that be the somatic components, the cackling?
Yeah, I would say the somatic
verbal.
components. Oh, yeah.
Verbal and somatic? Because
Well,
if you're
this-
cackling, you're assuming you're doing the
The material
Hands.
components would be
the tears. Yeah.
And then, is somatic hand motion right?
Yeah.
That would just be motion then, right? I mean, I guess in order to cackle maniacally, you almost have, I mean, it's kind of a prerequisite to put your hands up and shake them anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say so.
And verbal.
Yes,
'Cause
and
you have
verbal
to
because
cackle.
of the cackling.
Okay.
Because it's not just a laugh. You can't just go, no, it has to be a cackle. Like, and see, my hands did it.
Yeah, automatically.
Yeah.
You were even trying to hold them down and they did it.
I know.
They broke through the leather bonds that I put on that chair.
Yeah. For completely different reasons.
Yeah.
Because it's Valentine's Day. So we hope you all had a wonderful Valentine's Day. You can reach us on Twitter at Dueling Ogres, email us at duelingogres@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the Facebook page. Make sure to check out our website at duelingogres.com for articles pertaining to some of your favorite geek news. I've thrown up a couple. I'm trying to do kind of one a week if I can find something that spurns me to write.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been shooting for. So you can probably expect to not see one this week at all because I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And finally, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or find us on YouTube, iHeartRadio, or Satchel, where you can donate to the show or nearly anywhere else you can find a podcast. Smash those likes.
Yeah, don't,
I'm going to keep doing
keep
it.
doing it.
I know,
With
I'm
the
going
hands.
to.
I don't like it.
You don't like the dabbing.
No, I really don't.
I'm going to smash those likes.
Okay, yeah, it's just really uncomfortable.
Good. I'm glad. I like making your world worse.
So all I can say at the end of this is on this Valentine's Day, go out and kiss someone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who.
Nope. Whoever you want.
Just kiss them.
Just kiss them.
Consensually.
Yes.
Kiss them.
Yeah, don't force yourself on people. We do not condone that.
Yeah, that's we're gonna take a strong stance on that one.
That's right. So until next week, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt.
And your tusks sharp.
Good night.
What a weird way to end this episode.
We're a couple of weird guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consent.
Consent. It's a good message to have.
No, it is for sure.
Start over.
So we can.
Yeah, we'll get it on there. Maybe I use it. Maybe I don't. It's cool. It's whatever.
I was following the Facebook page of the guy who runs the online etymology dictionary, etymmonline.com. You know how I use that pretty much every other episode to tell the history of a word.
Right, yeah.
And the guy is awesome. I don't know how old he is. I'm guessing in his late 50s to 60s somewhere is what I would kind of peg him as. But the guy is super well spoken, and his biography you can read on the site. It just basically talks about how I did this in my spare time. I find this kind of stuff interesting, and it kind of grew to be its own thing. And he posts pictures very rarely of himself. I've only seen one on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks like a thinner George R.R. Martin.
Okay.
And the picture was like doing some work. And he's like sitting at this giant fucking dusty looking desk, cluttered with these huge tomes surrounding him.
Right.
And like a cat walking over the page he's on. And I mean, these are like giant books, and he's got like 3 of them open, and he's furiously scribbling something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really fucking cool.
But he does all of this stuff himself. He does the research from books, and he's not even an etymologist. Like, he refers to himself as a novice. Like, it's not his field of study. He just does it on the side.
Wow. Well, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and the site has almost any word you can put in, and you find the root meaning of it and the history of it.
That's
it's
really
crazy.
cool.
The guy has to spend so much of his time doing this.
Yeah. Is he single?
I don't know. I haven't really talked to him about his love life. I haven't talked to him at all.
Not that I'm interested. I just want to know if there's a missus who puts up with that.
I don't know, because you asked it in a way that makes me think that you are interested in
I'm
dating.
a little interested, but...
He doesn't have a personal Facebook page.
Yeah.
So I can't. I guess I can shoot him a quick email and say, hey, bro, you getting wet? See what he says to that.
Probably the best idea you've ever had.
Okay, so here's an example of one of the posts. This is from February 10th. A coworker recently confessed to having long thought input was input. It was not a foolish mistake. If it had been a Latin word, it would be input, because Latin routinely turns in into m before b, m, and p. So from the in, that means not opposite of, you get immobile, impersonal, and from the one that means in, into, you get implant, impoverish. But input is made from native language elements, native English elements, and so even though most people probably pronounce it input, we spell it input. There's also inpatient, person lodged and fed as well as treated at a hospital or infirmary, and the biggest chunk of that does come from Latin, but you couldn't very well make it impatient.
Alright, we need to test Skype.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do!
No.
We have to!
I don't want to test for my life to be over.
Excuse me. Sorry, I burped. Why am I what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Calling. Also, I can karate chop you for ever questioning me.
Okay. Is this like a continuous karate chop, or is this just one long karate chop that spans time?
Yeah, constant karate chop that spans time.
Okay. Would this create like a time singularity?
Maybe. Do you need more gain out of my end?
If you could be a bit louder, it'd be helpful. But
okay.
Hi guys.
Hey, how you
don't have a
doing?
screen, you have a mic right in front of you.
You're turning
I
up
was
the gain,
ignoring
so I'm
the
yelling.
girlfriend's going.
It's like they're further away, so I have to yell to them. Hi.
Hi.
Is that better? Or did you hear
Yeah.
any noticeable difference at all?
Yeah,
Slight.
yeah, it's good. We
Okay.
can hear you guys.
You guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, how do you want to play it? Do you want to we can do the intro and outro after? That's honestly fine with me. Just jump right into the interview.
Yeah, that'd probably be easier.
Okay.
Okay, whenever we introduce you guys and talk about your channel, do you want us to do first and last names? Do you prefer just first names, or?
Just first for me.
Yeah, I think first names is fine.
Okay.
We tend to keep everything on a first name basis like that.
Do you want me to do any social security numbers or addresses for you?
We're good.
Actually, yeah. I've had a few questions about my social security number, but let's wait till the podcast to cover this.
Okay, cool. So we've got Will is center, right?
Yo.
Yep.
Zach is on my right as I'm looking at the screen, yes? In the hat.
Yes.
Okay, and you are
Gerard.
Gerard. Okay.
Oh, I forgot to mention Gerard would be joining us. Turns out he didn't work. I just scheduled it without consulting him whatsoever, and it was a happy accident.
Hey, thanks for tagging along, Gerard.
Thank you, Brandon.
I'm Remington.
Man.
That was Ren, you silly goose. This is why I don't bring him places.
The fat guy is Rem. That's me. And then Brandon is the
I'm the guy in the back.
he's the guy in the back there.
All right.
Okay. So
Screw anything up.
All right, I just won't charge my phone. That's fine.
you
All
don't
right.
need to. Who do you need to talk to?
Fair point.
Nobody.
People you talk to are here.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty much everybody I contact.
Everybody's here.
Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to record the intro and the outro to our podcast separately. So whenever we actually when we do start the interview, we're just kind of going to jump into it. Remington's going to do the introduction, kind of like, and today we're here talking to Gentleman's Sword. With us, we have Gerard, Will, Zach, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to kind of go into it. I'm sure, Rem, you'll do same as you always do. Like, so how you guys doing? Whatever kind of bullshitty stuff you say. And then
Who the hell do you think you are?
I'm the goddamn backbone.
Talking to me
podcast.
like that. You piece of shit.
You work the mixing board and fuck off. And then I figure what I'll do is with our interviews, we go pretty loose on what we talk about.
Same.
Yeah. So I figure we'll just talk about your guys' experiences as being the dungeon sluts. And then we'll also talk a little bit about, we won't call you dungeon sluts.
You can call us Dungeon Sluts any day of the week, Brent.
But
I feel like we earned that title. I wear it as a badge of honor.
as you should.
Right there on the side of your mouth.
Zach actually just ordered a stamp with our logo on it.
Oh,
Just
that's
as like a dumb little thing. And now
awesome.
I kind of wish it said Dungeon Slut on it. So you just like forehead stamp Dungeon Slut on it.
That's awesome.
Dude, that's what
that'd be
business
great.
cards are for.
Yeah.
I can buy one of those too.
I got us some business cards. I wish it said Dungeon Sluts on it now, too. Okay.
Have you guys been playing D&D for a while? Because I was going to hit on that, like some of your experiences and
Well, why don't
Yeah,
we keep...
all of us have been playing it for upwards of 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
Well,
I've
I've been playing it longer than all.
yeah,
Of us.
they've both played longer than I have, but I started playing like 5 or 6 years ago.
I don't even know exactly what edition I started off on. It was a 3.5 through 1 mix off.
All right, so hold on. Let's kibosh that and keep it organic.
Yeah, let's save that
well,
for the content.
I wanted to get a general idea.
Well, I mean, that's okay. You'll get it.
Look, you can't tell me to ask the fucking questions and then question me.
Question him asking the questions.
Who questions the questioner?
Okay, I'm just going to jump into it. You got this. I want to make Brandon sweat. That's what it boils down to.
I can't sweat.
Really?
Mhm.
Do you not have any sweat glands?
No, they're all gone.
Oh.
Dude, I sweat like I smell like spaghetti when
Your
I sweat.
feet say otherwise. Okay.